Imagine you're standing inside one of the most legendary factories in American history. The walls are covered in Persian orange paint that's been there since 1929. Workers are filing out for the last time. Some of them are crying. Some of them are carrying toolboxes their grandfathers used on the same floor. Allis-Chalmers, a company that helped electrify the Hoover Dam, that built the turbines for the Panama Canal, that put an orange tractor on nearly every family farm in the Midwest, is dead. But here's the thing nobody expected. 5 years later, a group of suits in Georgia is going to buy the scraps of that company for pennies. And then, in one of the most aggressive acquisition sprees in industrial history, they're going to vacuum up nearly every struggling farm equipment brand on the planet, spending billions, absorbing legends, swallowing entire legacies whole. They'll build a $10 billion empire, and then they'll let half of it rot. This is the story of AGCO Corporation, and what happens when you buy brands faster than you can love them. All right, to understand what AGCO even is, you need to go back to the wreckage. In 1985, Allis-Chalmers, this titan of American industry, founded in 1901, is hemorrhaging money. The farm crisis of the early 80s has crushed equipment demand. Interest rates are through the roof. Farmers aren't buying tractors, they're losing their farms. And Allis-Chalmers, already stretched across too many industries, finally buckles. They sell off the agricultural division to a German conglomerate called Gleaner Humboldt Deutz. The Germans rebrand it Deutz Allis. And for 5 years, it just kind of sits there, underperforming, unloved, bleeding market share. Now here's where it gets interesting. In 1990, a guy named Robert J. Ratliff, a veteran equipment executive, looks at this failing division and sees something nobody else does: a distribution network, thousands of dealer relationships, and a handful of brand names that still meant something to farmers, even if the parent company had given up on them. Ratliff and his management team scraped together enough money to do a leveraged buyout of Deutz Allis' North American operations. The price? We're talking a fraction of what Allis-Chalmers was once worth. They renamed the company, and the name they choose? It's almost a joke. They call it Gleaner Allis Corporation, then rearrange it to Allis-Gleaner Corporation. Take the initials, AGCO, the company that will one day be worth over $10 billion, named after the leftover letters of two dying brands. And Ratliff, he has a plan, but it's not the plan you'd expect. Most companies grow by building better products, by innovating, by out-competing. AGCO's strategy was different, radically different. They were going to grow by buying everything, and the speed of it, it was almost violent. 1991, they buy the White tractor line from Allied Products. That gives them a new tractor brand and over 600 dealer contracts overnight. Same year, they grab Hesston Corporation, one of the most respected names in hay and forage equipment, the company that literally invented the modern grain auger. 1993, they go after Massey Ferguson's North American distribution. Massey Ferguson, a name that at its peak was the best-selling tractor brand on earth, the company that put a tractor on every continent. They get 1,100 dealer contracts in a single stroke. The following year, they buy all of Massey Ferguson's international operations for about $330 million. Just like that, AGCO goes global. And they're not done. Not even close. 1993 also brings them White new idea: spreaders, planters, and tillage equipment. 1995, the Ag Equipment Group, which gives them the Glencoe, Ty, and Farmhand brands. Now pause for a second. We're only 5 years in, and AGCO has already swallowed at least 7 distinct brand legacies. They've gone from a $200 million company running on Allis-Chalmers scraps to one of the biggest farm equipment distributors in North America. But here's where Ratliff makes the move that changes everything. 1996, AGCO pays $260 million for AGCO Maxion, Massey Ferguson's licensee in Brazil. This single purchase gives them 45% of the entire Brazilian tractor market. Then they pick up Deutz Argentina. Then, in early 1997, the crown jewel, they acquire Fendt, the legendary German tractor maker, for $320 million. Fendt, if you know tractors, you know that name. The Vario transmission, some of the most technologically advanced agricultural machines ever built. A brand that German farmers treat with the reverence Americans reserve for John Deere. In the span of 7 years, AGCO had gone from a company nobody had heard of, running rebranded Allis-Chalmers leftovers, to the third largest farm equipment manufacturer on the planet, behind only John Deere and CNH. They now owned more than 20 distinct brand names, over 9,200 dealer locations, equipment on every continent. The Wall Street types called it a roll-up strategy. Farmers called it something else. They called it a mess. Here's the dirty secret of roll-up strategies. Buying companies is the easy part. The hard part, the part that separates Berkshire Hathaway from a dumpster fire, is what you do with them after. And this is where AGCO's story takes a dark turn. See, when AGCO bought Allis-Chalmers, they didn't just buy equipment, they bought an identity. Generations of farm families in Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, they didn't just drive Allis-Chalmers tractors. They were Allis-Chalmers people. The way some people bleed green for deer, these families bled orange. And AGCO, they took that orange and slowly, methodically erased it. First, they renamed the tractors AGCO Allis. Okay, fine. Then in 2001, they dropped the Allis entirely and just called them AGCO. The tractors kept the orange paint, but the name, a century of heritage, was gone. Then in 2008, they dropped the bomb. AGCO announced that the AGCO branded orange tractor line was being discontinued entirely. Production would end by 2010. Customers would be transitioned to Massey Ferguson. A company spokesperson literally said the words, "Change is never easy." Change is never easy? These farmers' great-grandparents drove Allis-Chalmers machines. They learned to plow behind them. They inherited them. And now a company headquartered in a Georgia suburb was telling them their brand was dead, and here's a red tractor instead? The reaction from the farming community was volcanic. Forum posts from that era read like eulogies. Every company they acquire, they can't wait to kill it. One farmer wrote that he'd sooner buy a John Deere, his family's mortal enemy, for 3 generations than put a Massey Ferguson decal on his barn. But the orange tractors were just the beginning. Let me walk you through the graveyard. White tractors, one of the most respected names in the upper Midwest, merged into the AGCO brand in 2001. The White tractor, as a standalone line, effectively ceased to exist. The White planter line survived longer, but with diminishing investment and dealer support. New idea. A beloved implement brand, folded into Massey Ferguson's hay and forage lineup. The name survived on some decals for a while, then it didn't. AGCO Allis, gone by 2001, merged into the AGCO brand. Then the AGCO brand itself was killed in 2008. So the successor to Allis-Chalmers was discontinued twice. Challenger. Now this one really stings. AGCO bought the Challenger name and tracked tractor line from Caterpillar in 2002. Challenger tractors were known for their durability and their distinctive Caterpillar-derived engineering. Farmers loved them. AGCO built out the brand, added wheeled tractors, even combines. Then they started consolidating. Challenger tractors started being built on the same lines as Massey Ferguson and Fendt machines. The differentiation blurred. Parts support got spotty. Dealers weren't sure what to push. And then, gradually, the brand was deprioritized. By the time AGCO made Fendt and Massey Ferguson its leading brands, Challenger farmers felt abandoned. The pattern repeats and repeats. Buy the brand, absorb the dealer network, drain the engineering budget, let the brand identity blur, then quietly discontinue it when nobody's looking, or replace it with Massey Ferguson or Fendt. And the people left holding the bag? The farmers who bought in, who trusted the name on the hood. Now here's where you might be thinking, okay, they killed some heritage brands, but maybe AGCO poured all that energy into building something better? Fair point. Let's talk about Fendt. If there's one brand AGCO hasn't neglected, it's Fendt. In fact, they've done the opposite. They've dumped billions into it. Fendt has become the centerpiece of AGCO's entire global strategy. The Fendt Vario transmission, a continuously variable transmission that lets farmers shift seamlessly across the entire speed range, was already revolutionary when AGCO bought the company in 1997. But AGCO didn't just maintain it, they expanded the Fendt product line aggressively. Fendt tractors. Fendt combines under the Ideal series, Fendt hay equipment, Fendt planters, the Momentum planter, even Fendt sprayers, rebranding the Rogator as a Fendt product. At their 2024 Analyst Day, AGCO laid out the plan in black and white. Expand Fendt net sales in North and South America to $1.7 billion by 2029. Fendt is not just a brand to AGCO anymore. Fendt is the strategy. And Massey Ferguson? It's still there, serving as the value brand, the workhorse for price-conscious farmers and developing markets. But make no mistake about who the favorite child is. Here's the uncomfortable question though. Was it worth it? Was killing Allis-Chalmers, burying White, gutting Challenger, and hollowing out New Idea worth it? All so AGCO could funnel resources into a German premium tractor brand. Ask a corn farmer in Iowa whose family ran orange Allis-Chalmers machines for 4 generations. Ask the Challenger dealer in Kansas who watched his customer base evaporate. Ask the guy running a 1998 Gleaner combine who can't get parts in under 3 weeks. The answer you'll get depends on which side of the spreadsheet you're sitting on. But AGCO isn't just killing brands, they're selling them. In July 2024, AGCO announced it was divesting its entire grain and protein business, the GSI, Cumberland Cimbria, Automated Production, and Techno brands, to a private equity firm called American Industrial Partners. The price? $700 million. Sounds like a lot of money, right? Here's the kicker. AGCO told investors they expected to take a loss on the sale of between $450 and $475 million. They sold these 5 brands for $700 million and lost nearly $500 million doing it. Think about what that means. AGCO spent years acquiring these companies, integrating them, adding overhead, and then sold them for significantly less than they paid. That loss isn't just an accounting entry, it's an admission we bought something we couldn't figure out how to run. GSI alone, one of the biggest names in grain storage and handling in the world, was acquired by AGCO in 2011. Cimbria, a respected Danish grain handling company, came in 2016. AGCO owned these brands for years, and then essentially said, not our problem anymore. The official spin? Strategic transformation. The grain and protein sale would let AGCO focus on its farmer-first strategy, on Fendt, on precision agriculture technology through their PTx Trimble joint venture. But step back and look at the pattern. AGCO buys aggressively, spreads itself thin, underinvests in the brands that don't fit the current CEO's vision, and then sells the leftovers at a loss. The only brands that survive are the ones that happen to align with whatever the 5-year plan says this quarter. It's the roll-up playbook, except the ending isn't usually this messy. There's one piece of this puzzle that outsiders almost never talk about, but it's arguably the most important: the dealer network. In farm equipment, the dealer isn't just a retail location. The dealer is the relationship. When a farmer's combine breaks down at 10 p.m. during harvest, and harvest waits for nobody, the dealer is the person who answers the phone, who drives parts out to the field, who keeps a $1 million machine running when every hour of downtime costs real money. John Deere understood this from day one. Their dealer network is legendary, tight, loyal, supported. Deere doesn't just sell to their dealers, they invest in them, protect their territories, give them reasons to stay. AGCO's approach? It's been the opposite of that. When you buy 20 brands in a decade, you inherit thousands of dealer contracts. But those dealers signed up to sell Allis-Chalmers, or Massey Ferguson, or White. They didn't sign up to sell a rotating portfolio of brands that corporate might discontinue next Tuesday. Forum after forum, year after year, the complaint is the same. AGK was done in my area. Used to be lots of Allis Gleaner stuff. One small dealer with scant company support. AGK was going to lose customers if they don't improve their parts distribution. I am surprised AGK can even sell anything new. I have an absolutely terrible time getting parts. This is what happens when you treat dealer relationships as line items on a spreadsheet instead of partnerships. When you buy a brand's dealers and then starve them of support, training, inventory, and attention, eventually they leave. They pick up a Kubota franchise or a Klaas line, or they just close. And when the dealer disappears, the farmer is stranded. They've got a $250,000 machine with no local support, and they're not buying that color again. AGCO has been fighting this problem for 30 years, and despite having over 9,200 dealer locations worldwide, their North American dealer density in many regions is a fraction of what Deere offers. In the parts of the country where Allis-Chalmers and White and Oliver once dominated, the upper Midwest, the Great Plains, AGCO dealer presence has been thinning for years. Now here's where the story could go one of two ways. In April 2024, AGCO closed its PTx Trimble joint venture, a massive precision agriculture play. They acquired precision planting from Monsanto's Climate Corporation. They're building a data platform called Farm Engage. They're talking about autonomous tractor retrofit kits. They're targeting $2 billion in precision ag revenue by 2029. This is AGCO's bet that the future of farming isn't about the color of the tractor. It's about the technology inside it. GPS-guided planting, variable rate application, data-driven agronomy, mixed fleet compatibility, meaning their tech works on any brand of tractor, not just AGCO's. And honestly, it might be their smartest move in decades. Because here's the reality. The farm equipment market is cyclical, always has been. Commodity prices go up, farmers buy new iron. Prices drop, they run the old stuff another season. AGCO's equipment revenue swings wildly with the cycle. But precision ag technology, that's recurring revenue, software subscriptions, data services, retrofit kits that sell regardless of whether the farmer buys a new tractor this year. It's the razor and blade model applied to agriculture. In their Q4 2025 earnings call, AGCO reported that their PTx business finished the year at approximately $860 million in revenue. They generated record free cash flow of $740 million, and they're projecting continued growth even in a soft equipment market. So maybe the brand carnage was the price of admission. Maybe you can't become a precision ag technology company while also lovingly maintaining 20 heritage tractor brands with overlapping product lines and redundant dealer networks. But that doesn't make it hurt less for the people who got left behind. So where does that leave us? AGCO Corporation, 36 years after 4 executives scraped together enough money to buy the ashes of Allis-Chalmers, is a $14 billion company. They employ nearly 28,000 people. They sell equipment in over 140 countries. They own Fendt, which might be the most technologically advanced tractor brand in the world. They own Massey Ferguson, which is still one of the best-selling tractor brands globally. And they're building a precision ag empire that could reshape how farming works. But the ledger has 2 columns. On the other side, Allis-Chalmers, gone. White, effectively gone. New idea, gone. The AGCO orange tractor, gone. Challenger, fading, Gleaner, hanging on, but for how long? Hesston, the name is slowly being absorbed into Massey Ferguson branding. GSI, Cimbria, Cumberland, Techno, sold off at a loss. Sunflower, Farmhand, Glencoe, Ty, Spruckupua, Wilmar, folded, merged, or forgotten. Each one of those names once meant something to someone. Each one had dealers who believed in it, engineers who were proud of it, and farmers who would have argued about it at the co-op coffee counter until closing time. AGCO didn't just buy those brands, they bought those communities, those loyalties, those identities, and in a lot of cases, they took them apart for spare parts. Is that good business? Maybe, probably even by certain metrics. AGCO survived. They grew, they're still here, while dozens of independent farm equipment companies from the 80s and 90s are not. But there's a difference between surviving and honoring the thing that got you there. Bob Ratliff, the founder, the man who built AGCO from nothing, died in 2017 at age 85. He'd guided the company through 21 acquisitions, growing it from $200 million to over $5 billion. By the time he passed, the company had already started killing the brands he'd spent his career collecting. I wonder what he'd think if he saw the graveyard now. Here's what I'll leave you with. The next time you drive past a field and see a red Massey Ferguson tractor or a green Fendt with that distinctive slope-nose design, remember, that machine carries the DNA of a dozen dead companies, ghost brands welded into the frame, the spirit of Allis-Chalmers in the corporate charter, Hesston engineering in the baler, White planter technology in the seed boxes, Gleaner innovation in the threshing rotor. AGCO didn't build an empire from scratch. They built it from gravestones. And whether you see that as brilliant strategy or industrial tragedy probably depends on one thing: whether your family's name was on one of those brands. If this story hit you, if you've got a connection to any of these brands, if your granddad ran an Allis-Chalmers or your family sold White equipment, drop it in the comments. I want to hear those stories. And if you want to understand how consolidation is reshaping other industries the same way it reshaped farming, subscribe, because this is just one chapter.